Recording in progress.
Morning, colleagues. Morning, South Africans. How are you?
Morning, Chair. Fun well.
Good, good, good. Honorable Van Staden.
We are fine, thank you.
Good, good, good.
We are here, Chairman.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Chair. We are paying us that.
Nami ngiyaphila mhlonishwa. Nami ngiyaphila mhlonishwa, nami ngiyaphila. Valerie, are we ready?
Yes, Chair. We are ready.
Is everyone on boarded?
Yes, Chair. I'm just waiting for the last group from SANRAL to join. But the legal advisors are here. And as I've indicated to you, they've requested to have their agenda item first because of conflicting commitments this morning from 10 o'clock.
Colleagues, there was a request which I feel I must grant even without a station, because the colleagues from legal service, they are also sitting on the ad hoc committee that is investigation, that the other ad hoc committee of our colleagues in relation to the matters of police and security systems in the country. So I'm going to request that we take them first. It's in relation to the marine oil pollution bill. So we alter the program a bit, or the agenda a bit. So we take number 3 and make it number 2, and then from there we'll flow like that. Our meeting is not supposed to actually be long, because we are dealing with straight items. With that, I'm going to request first, let's receive an apology, and also just to welcome all of you. Hope you had a very good weekend and good constituency day yesterday, and wishing you also the best of the week ahead. I know it's a hectic week in Parliament, and hope all of you will have the necessary strength to carry you through the entire week. But I'm going to request apologies, and from there we'll then zoom into marine oil pollution. Then from there, hope at that time colleagues from SANRAL would have been onboarded, and then from there we'll then be able to take them and engage, and then from there we'll then take administrative process relating to ASIP, consider minutes, and close the meeting. On that note, Valerie, up to you now.
Okay, apologies were received from Ms. Kobe and the minister who's attending a summit this morning, and the acting DG who has conflicting commitments already. But Chair, the list of delegations for both DOT and SANRAL has been sent to you and to the members.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, without much ado, colleagues, so that I don't waste your time also, but also considering the request, let's quickly address that particular request, and then from there we'll then allow questions and inputs on that particular presentation, and then we'll then be able to release them. Pumelele and the team, the platform is yours. You know where we left the other time. We're carrying from where we left, the things that we needed to go and do. You now be able to take us through and then tell us the things that we have done in relation to the discussion we had before. It is not a new meeting. It's a sequel of what we have had in the past. Let's proceed. Thanks very much. The platform is yours.
Greetings, Chairperson.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, and greetings to my colleagues as well on the platform. Chairperson, my name is Andile Tejana, and this bill, Chairperson, I'm the legal advisor responsible for this bill. It's just that, Chair, when Ms. Ngema appeared before the committee, I was on leave, and I had asked her to stand in for me. Chairperson, let me start by apologizing profusely for the confusion that happened in this meeting. Chairperson, the source of the confusion stemmed from the fact that the C list that was transmitted from the NCOP was an incorrect document. And when Ms. Ngema worked through the bill, the source document was an incorrect document. We have since addressed that question. We are not throwing our colleagues from the NCOP under the bus, Chairperson. It was a human error. It's this thing of working on different iterations. Like, for instance, work on a document, and then the document gets changed, then it gets changed again. And then what they did, instead of sending the most recent one with the most recent updates, they then sent an iteration which predates that. And that's why there was confusion, Chairperson. Chairperson, the technical amendments which we picked up, and of course which were flagged before the committee, having submitted the correct C list, those technical amendments, Chairperson, only relate to two clauses, which is clause 8. There's cross-referencing that needed to be done there. And then clause 30, sub-clause 3A. And Chairperson, what we're going to do now, I'm going to ask my colleague to flag yes. Can you, Valerie, can you give us rights to Pumele that? Because we just want to flag the division of the bill.
Yeah, because we're only seeing you here, and we are not seeing the screen.
Yes, Chairperson, my colleague, Ms. Ngema, is going to flag the division of the bill.
Okay.
Thanks. Oh, Valerie, can yeah, the one that was sent to you, Valerie, this morning.
I've already given sharing rights to both
Okay.
you and Ms. Ngema when you entered the committee this morning.
Okay. Valerie, through your leave, Chairperson, can you ask Valerie to assist us, because it seems as if we're experiencing problems.
Yeah, Valerie, legal people are not technical people. Can you assist?
Thanks, Valerie. Yeah. Can you go to 8.5? Thanks, Valerie. So, Chair, you'll see that this is the most recent version with two translations. You'll see that there's Zulu as well, but we just want to go to 8.5, the English version. Yes, thanks. You will see how it reads there, Chair. It says that the authority and all keepers of stockpiled equipment must repair or replace equipment with such costs being recovered from the polluter, if possible, and consistent with the administrative arrangements developed under 6. So, Chairperson, in terms of the C list, the reference to subsection 5 in the new subsection 5 should be 6. And you will see, Chair, that it is fixed there. And of course, if you look at the new subsection 6, Chairperson, it says in order to facilitate the use of equipment, personnel, and other resources under subsection 4. Section 4, Chairperson, speaks about the equipment. In determining equipment needs under subsection 2, each owner or operator of a port facility, oil handling facility, or offshore installations, and all shipping companies must take into account the findings of the risk assessment undertaken under section 5 and must liaise with the authority in order to ensure compatibility and interoperability with the National Marine Oil Pollution Response Equipment Inventory. So, Chairperson, you will see that the cross-referencing has been corrected there. Can we move, Valerie, to clause 30, subclause 3A of the English version, the TP? Yes, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Chair. So, Chair, now we're looking at clause 30, subclause 3A. And you will see there, Chair, that what had happened is that just after the subclause 1, at the end of that sentence with A, there were inverted commas there. You will see, Chair, now that those have since been removed. So those are the only technical amendments, Chair, which were to effect. And Chair, I think that addresses the concerns of the committee.
And so, Chairperson, in light of the processing and the options that I had given today, as I had already pointed out in terms of National Assembly Rules 311 and 312, we're supposed to be looking into the concurrence, and the concurrence, if the committee goes through there to that process, the concurrence is going to be in line with the amendments that were done by the NCOP. But if there's anything further than what the NCOP has done and what my colleague has just explained, in terms of the National Assembly rule, as I said earlier on, 313, we must be confined to the amendments that were proposed by the council. And only then, if there are changes on those, do we go to the process of the mediation. But the process that we currently supposed to be finalizing is the process of 311, 312, which is inclusive of a committee report and the recommendations of the committee for the National Assembly plenary, whether the concurrence is granted or not granted in light of the amendments of the NCOP, Chairperson. So that is where we are now, Chairperson. Thank you.
I'm going to allow members to ask questions, and then I'll come with my question, because one, Pomele and Andile, by yesterday I needed this presentation and my team was not yet having it, and I was taking an issue with that because I needed to do comparisons, or I needed also them to do analysis of the document. But I learned that you only send it this morning. But let me allow my colleagues to ask questions, and I'll come in. Members? Members, should I assume that you are covered when I don't see your hands? I'm looking at the screen here. I'm not. I would assume everyone okay. Honorable Montana.
I can confirm I'm okay, Chair. Thank you.
No, Chair, I am noting the good morning, Chair. Good morning to honorable members and the team from the legal advisors. Chair, just in one sentence, I think this presentation is a third, and when I look back where we started, every time the team has come up with a new thing, but we won't object to it. But I think that there's the MKP. Chair, let me make it very clear that we reserve our position on this thing. So we won't object to it because I don't think that we've got the assurance. And when we look back from where we started, we think that every time this thing keeps on changing. But yeah, if they're focusing on the amendments made by the NCOP, we'll live with that. But we don't think that has been the consistent position, Chair. So we reserve our rights. Thank you.
Okay, no thanks, Honorable Montana. Andy, just for me to understand, this version that you are presenting now, is it the version that was adopted by the NCOP?
Chairperson, the
Yes.
version that we have presented is the Act format that is under preparation when the concurrence is granted, that will go to the President for assent. The version, because as you would see on the front page, it's Act, it's going to be an Act and given a number. But the version of the bill, it's the D version of the committee that was passed by the council.
So this is the D version. Well, I'm losing you, Pomerel.
In other words, in the presentation that I had given Chairperson earlier on, the issues that we had said were there, which require corrections, were the issues of the inverted comma and the reference of sub 5, which was referring to itself. So there has been no fundamental changes, except that at the time I did the first presentation, I pointed out everything that was in those versions, and that is what Andile made reference to say the documents that were received and sent to the committee and myself, which I worked on, are the iterations of the wrong last document that should have come to the committee, Chair.
Okay, so where you are seated, you will not have a comeback where they say you did not do A instead of B, right? At this point, you are satisfied that you have ticked all the boxes. Kamala. Kamala.
Yes,
Honorable
Chairperson.
Blosser. Honorable Blosser and Honorable Ngsinger. If you could come in.
Yeah, no, just quickly, Chair. I see you had not noticed our hands earlier before you came in. Chair, I don't know, man. Sometimes, not even sometimes, as a committee, we also need to satisfy ourselves with any changes, or whether they are technical or they have no fundamental impact on the bill. But we ought to satisfy ourselves that what we are giving concurrence to, we are able to cross-reference and assure ourselves that everything is above board. Because it seems a little bit clumsy now, and it's adding more confusion. Because I'm sitting here right now, I'm really not sure about these changes that are being made. I'm unable to follow. Maybe let me just put it like that, Chair. Maybe I don't know if the concurrence from the committee must be given now, whether it's an agency, or we can take this presentation from the legal team, and then we get to look at it, and maybe in our next sitting we can, because it's only going to be a short item, for us then to give the concurrence. because right now I'm really not sure about these changes. There's a document that was edited and then a wrong document was sent through. So I wouldn't want to compromise myself and the organization to give support in something that I'm really not sure what is it that we are dealing with in terms of these changes. But I've heard the presentation. I'm just saying that, Chair, I would maybe propose that we are given a chance to look at this thing since the presentation has been presented as well. And maybe in our next meeting, if it's not that much pressing with time, we can then have it as our first item, support whatever that needs to be supported, and then it goes through. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks much, Honorable Blossom. Honorable Musinger.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, everybody. Chairperson, we are now being presented with a document which we need to consider as if it is, an ongoing process. Whereas we were definitely misled in a previous session where a wrong version was also presented to us, which we actually approved. Which really brings us into a dilemma of process and procedure. And to now present something as if it is the first, exposure to this set of document or content is really taking a chance. It is really clumsy in my view. And I would propose, Chairperson, that we do accept the presentation and that we submit this presentation to our own researchers and content providers so that a proper document with adequate comparison gets drawn up for us to consider in a final instance. But in that document, we must definitely also consider process and procedure, because we approved a version and we approved a wrong version. And I'm not sure that we could simply now just, like delete and scroll back and do that over. And we must deal with what we approved, and we must deal with the process of having approved a wrong version. Before we can consider anything new, it cannot simply be cancelled out like this. It creates a extremely problematic precedent going forward, in that any version can just pop up and the latest one can be approved, and then that is the one which stands. It cannot be. Parliamentary process does not work like that. We need to deal with the version that we have approved, in the sense that unapproving it or making a statement around that. And the embarrassing situation lies ahead, Chairperson, in that we would need to present a report to Parliament about how we dealt with this. And therefore, I suggest that we draw a line at this stage, and that we research, proper documentation around how to deal with a wrongly approved version, and that we have a proper comparison between the two sets of content that we considered, and that we then in the next meeting approve whatever the suggested direction is that we take. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Onsina. Do I have any hand here? Because I think we're gonna move in cycles. This is what must happen, colleagues. One, we're not supposed to actually adopt it today. We're to receive this presentation, but what doesn't also give me comfort, like other honorable members are saying, is the fact that even our team has not had time to do their own comparison, because Andile and Pomelele, we rely on our team to go through documents, and if they had not received on them on time, it also then creates a problem for us. Also for members, when the documents are received on time, our content team do what they are supposed to do, then they circulate, we go through the documents, satisfy ourselves. And honorable members are right. They are carrying on their shoulders, all of them individual political responsibilities, to the extent that whatever we go through here, we must satisfy ourselves that all is in order. so that if we are called to account wherever, whether through Parliament or through our individual political accountability mechanism, we are able to explain how did we arrive at any determination at any point. So we note the presentation. Advocate Nell and is advocating Gemma. I'm going to request that you go through, together with our legal advisors, you go through this particular document, and then when you are done, you'll then be able to give this to us, yourself and Dr. Ngesi. You must work with Pumelele, satisfy yourself on this particular document, give it to us, members circulate to members do their own comparison, and then in the next meeting, which we'll have determined, we'll then be able to schedule and make a determination on it and move forward and close the chapter of this document. I think we've been going back and forth on this document. We need to draw to finality. So a formal mandate to you, Advocate Nell, and Dr. Ngesi, to work with Pomelele and Andy to ensure that the version that will be coming would have ticked all the boxes. Thanks very much. Let's close this matter. Let's go to the next item. Andile, thanks very much. And Advocating Gemma, you can go to the ad hoc committee. Our team will liaise with you and we'll take it from there. Thanks.
Indeed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Sure. Next item, South African National Road Agency Limited. Brief response.
Good morning, Chairperson. It's Prasad Mohan here from the Department of Transport.
Yes.
There was an apology sent from our acting DG, Mr. Mokonyama. So we have today a presentation on the issues with regards raised by the Amadiba committee. This is a project in the Eastern Cape where the N2 is being realigned, rebuilt, and the committee has put in a petition to the portfolio committee. Just to give you some history, the N2 starts from the Ermelo in Mpumalanga, it traverses through KZN, then to Eastern Cape, and then to Western Cape. So it's one of our strategic interprovincial corridors in the country. And it was originally envisaged to build this in the 70s. Somehow the other it never got built, but we got to a stage now where work is happening on the ground. And since we've started the project, there have been a lot of challenges which we've been managing. But currently we sit with a situation where there's a petition that was delivered to Parliament, it was presented. So today we're going to provide the detailed response on the matters raised. I have with me the colleagues from SANRAL who will be presenting, but I'll first ask them to introduce themselves and then the lead will present. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Bra. Thank you. If they can come introduce themselves and then they take us through. Over to you, colleagues, to introduce yourself and take us through.
Good morning, Chairperson of the committee. My name is Reginald Demana, the CEO. I think the Chairperson of the board is here. Maybe you can please start for us just in terms of our delegation, and then we will head into the presentation. Thank you. Through you.
Thank you, the Chief Executive. If Mr. Demana, thanks very much. The Chair, if you can come in. The platform is yours. You can do your rituals.
Chairperson of the committee, maybe the chair is struggling with connection. So in the interest of time, I will just introduce the delegation. With me, I have, of course, the chairperson, Mr. Themba Mahambi. I have another board member who is also the chairperson of our Social Ethics and Transformation Committee, Mr. Kamsanga Matosa. We also have our executive responsible for corporate affairs, Ms. Lihlono Lomemeza. We have the main person who will present, the provincial head of the Eastern Cape, Mr. Mbulelo Peterson. I think I might also be having Mr. Mtosa. Mtosa is our acting general manager for transformation and stakeholders. If I had missed anyone, they will just type on the chat box, chairperson, to mention their presence. Otherwise, with your permission, I will ask Mr. Peterson, the provincial head, to then present. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. As it was said, Mbulelo Peterson, provincial head, Eastern Cape. Yeah, before I just go into the presentation, Chair, I must say that as SANRAL, we have had many engagements with the Amadiba Crisis Committee. We had meetings at their premises, and they also came down to Ekabeja and had some sessions with their technical team discussing the same issues. So the issues that were referred to the honorable members are things that SANRAL has dealt with the Amadiba Crisis Committee. But having said that, I'll take you through the presentation. So we'll deal with the issues, their concerns, and unpacking public participation, and the analysis of the alternative inlet route proposal, and propose a way forward. Of course, there are concerns talking about the high environmental impact, and I'm not going to read all, I'll just read the headings of their concerns: urban development, limited economic development. And of course, if you see there, Chair, that is the route, that is the approved route is the yellow one. As you can see there, the brown patches, you would say then is non-sensitive areas, and the bluish ones are the wetlands, sort of environmentally sensitive areas. This is SANRAL's route, as you can see. And of course, their proposal then is saying that no, they want the road inland. And of course, they are saying that initially, their initial stance was that no, we don't want we don't want the N2 Wild Coast Road because it is there to facilitate mining, that is titanium and toluene. And of course, it wasn't true because this road was actually conceived even during the Transkei, that is government, long before titanium was sort of discovered. But having said that, you can see that their route there, the dotted one, that is inland route, and it goes there to Elukholweni. Now, Elukholweni, honorable members, is the area that is built up near Mzamba, that is the Wild Coast Sun. If you go out towards Bizana, that whole area is built up there. And of course, we are not in favor of that. And as we said that during when we started with the project, we had 6 options. And some of the options that they are putting forward, or the option, was one of those roads that were assessed, that is for the N2 Wild Coast. But our approach then is saying we avoid, we minimize and mitigate principles. Our principle is that because we are saying that any part really of the environment that is disturbed, we shouldn't just disturb whether we say it is an environmentally sensitive area or not. But to respond to them, we are saying that the bridges that will be crossing, all those bridges, they are high actually compared to the area that is where the water would be. If you look at Msikaba, the structure is way 95 meters above where the water is. So it will not have any impact on the says the water or that is underneath. So then sorry. Yes. So then we are saying that on site, as a matter of fact, honorable members, there's a whole environmental structure on site. It includes the Department of Environmental Affairs and provincial and municipal, that is environmental sectors, as well as departments. And of course, we've got environmental monitoring committee, and sometimes the ACC, that is Amadiba Crisis Committee, also sits there. But the key thing is that there are plans, that is environmental protected areas. So what it means, Chair, there's a biodiversity offset agreement that was signed, that is between SANRAL and the Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Agency, to deal only with environmental issues. That is protected areas, game reserve or nature reserves, all those things. We have budgeted as SANRAL 375 million rand to deal with environmental issues. So in terms of the biodiversity agreement, we were supposed to have about 15,000 new, that is protected areas. As I speak now, we are over 25,000. And guess what? Communities still want more areas to be protected in that space. So the environmental issues, actually, we are dealing with those things as SANRAL without any hesitation. So the siltation that the ICC is talking about, actually, of course, as I indicated, wherever you touch the environment, you look at it as some sort of a disturbance of the environment. But all our operations there, as I say, there's a structure that looks, that is after it, whether it's stormwater, it's siltation and whatever. And as I indicated on that graph, we are actually south of the sensitive area. And the one proposed by the ACC is actually north of this. So whatever happens on the north, of course, if it may impact, that is the wetlands below, and that is not where we are. And of course, we are saying that where we will be crossing a wetland, we will make sure that we increase, we restore some, there are existing old, that is wetlands that have stopped being wetlands, and we will actually be revitalizing those to make sure that the environment is given a second chance. The illegal mining, Chair, is as old as the Transkei, if I may put it. I even knew whether you were in the Ciskei or whatever, because mining, illegal sand mining has been going on there for years, maybe since people started being in that environment. So every day, people are actually harvesting, or that is the sand, illegally. So to the extent that is so extensive, at one point, the DMRE thought of having these green barrets, that is to stop that, but it's just it's gone out of control, so to speak. And it's got nothing to do whether the road is there or not there, because SANRAL doesn't buy illegally mined sand. That is our position. To that effect, we actually said to ACC, we're SANRAL, we can do, that is, train guys and try to get them legal licensing and have them send areas that is with permits or licenses, that we can do as SANRAL, on provision that all stakeholders work together to make sure that should we do that, then everyone must be using that sort of quarry or sensor quarry. So if I go on maybe for the loss of rangelands, ECPTA is currently actually restoring, that is rangelands that were sort of no longer, because of grazing all over the place. We are actually will be restoring those areas and fencing some of these areas to make sure that the environment is not degraded unnecessarily. The ribbon development, we said to ACC, look, we are aware that a road, anywhere you build it, it must necessarily have that economic spin-off, because you can't build a road for nothing. It is for people to make use of the road. But indeed, where we agreed with them all over South Africa, I'm not talking now only about the Wild Coast, the collapse of those governance, where people build anywhere and everywhere, it is of concern, that is to us as well. But we are saying that in the Wild Coast, once you see the secondary road network that SANRAL is constructing there, will maybe come to that, you will see them, because people want access. You can't just have this road and they don't have access, that is to where they got to stay. So naturally, then they come nearer to the road. And we are saying that to facilitate development, we will give, that is starter pack roads, so to speak, whereby development can take place not along the N2, but on the adjacent road network that will be created by SANRAL. So we just go a little bit faster. If you see here, Chair, that is the blue, that is the N2 road. That is the N2 all the way to Mzamba. The other road network that you see there, Chair, is not there. This road, SANRAL will be constructing this road. It goes through the heart of the Williemadikizela Mandela municipality. And incidentally, it goes through Mbongweni, where maybe our Honorable Williemadikizela Mandela's home village is. But SANRAL will be surfacing this road all the way to Mbizana. And SANRAL currently, this road was the worst road that you could have there to Bulala. SANRAL is maintaining that road. And when we are done constructing, that is the road in this area, SANRAL will be surfacing this road. This road is actually at Sigidi. It's already constructed, Chair, using the local folks to construct their own roads, as well as this one to Makwantini. There's already been constructed. As I speak here, this road is being constructed, that is by the locals, that is Baleni Jama area. But as you can see, that is all these other roads that you can see here, those roads will be constructed by SANRAL. So the issue that I'm bringing to the fore here is that we are not only constructing the N2 Wild Coast there, but the supporting network, and which will result, if you look at the network now, there's no reason why people wouldn't be building somewhere here far away from the N2 because of the supporting road network. If you look at the network, the road that will be constructing, Chair, that is, this is Umthentu, this area here is Umthentu. Here at Baleni to Jama, we'll be having the interchange. It could be a quarter link, as well, all these circles, to make sure that access to the N2 is actually easy. And not only do we have that, we've got underpasses, overpasses, both for agricultural underpasses, for cattle to graze either side of the N2, pedestrian overpasses. We've got all those that link with this network. Now here, Chair, we have had engagements with the ACC, that is Crisis Committee, and that is why we are saying that we construct roads inland there, such that development, if at all it will take place, it happens that is further away from our N2. And here, we don't want any settlements, just like ACC, we don't want settlements that is south of the N2. As I say, and that network is supporting that. And of course, economic benefits. We're saying to ACC, look, you have seen already what we have done. Even before the road was, we started with the N2 road, the supporting network that we have constructed using local folks, and the connectivity and interconnectivity of the villages there. That on its own is something that will actually assist that is in movement, because if there's no mobility or movement of people, then chances are that economic the development is stunted as well. And linked to that, we train, that is the locals, both as SMMEs, whether they want to do sewing and the hospitality industry, all those folks, so we are training them there, that is in that part of the world. Now, of course, they also put forward a view that says that no, but this road maybe is not economically viable. Of course, for a road in terms of treasury standards, if you've got to have an 8% return on investment. If it is below that, then maybe you got to think twice of that is constructing that road, because otherwise the economic benefits may not be there. But this one is 12%. And even if we say we predict that now cost may escalate or increase by 20%, the return on investment is still 10%. So the viability of the road is actually a non-issue. And as you can see here, this green light is the current N2. Now, Kokstad is somewhere there. Now, Kokstad is 1,600 meters above sea level, whereas here at Umtata, you're about 600 to 700 meters above sea level. Now, it means, therefore, that if you are concerned about the environment, you know that because it's uphill there, the emissions from trucks, it affects, of course, the ozone layers. So the more toxic emissions from the vehicles that use the road, the more we are endangered, because it affects, that is, the ozone layers. And consequently, then if you can see that the best thing is to minimize this toxic emission from vehicles, and that is to use the smoother or the road that is not too taxing. And of course, you can talk in terms of fuel, etc., and time, and those factors are all included in our decision. I'm not going to bother you with this one, just to show what input was made to generate that is the figures. Now, just on this one, then, as I indicated, we've had many engagements with the ACC. And we actually invited them to say that, look, on this thing of an environment, let's work together. We've got 375 million rand not to construct any road, but just to deal with environmental issues. Raise your issues and see whether we can actually find common ground in terms of dealing with those issues. But thus far, we haven't gone too far with about that working together on an environmental issues. But I just want to go quickly over the public participation, because the view was put forward that, look, we're not consulted and etc. But it was a very lengthy and thorough process. Not going to deal with all the things, but safe to say, for instance, here, 3,700 interested and affected people. The language, English, Afrikaans is closer, is Zulu. And we've been to this head men, Kalipile Baleni of Amadiba area and Dabazake. And currently, of course, we've got Chief Baleni there. And Chief Baleni has been part of the whole process that is for the road. Incidentally, Chief Baleni was one of the folks who says, no, the road must continue. It is of importance that the road is constructed in that part of the world. And if you can see here, over 6,000 participated in the whole processes that we undertook as SANRAL. And if you look at here again now, when we were now doing the scoping report, over 10,000 people on our database, that is, who participated in this whole process. And I'm not going to read everything, Chair, but just give you some figures. You can see the total of brochures that were issued and produced in English, isiZulu and isiXhosa. Traditional councils, both in Eastern Cape and KZN, were consulted because the road wasn't seen as an Eastern Cape road. It's a national road that's, as Prasan earlier said, this thing links Cape Town with MLO in the Mpumalanga province. Those are just pictures of those public participation processes. And here again, if you look at the environmental impact report, over 17,000 people. That is interested and affected parties. And of course, in that part of the rural part of the Eastern Cape, there in the Wild Coast, over 3,700 people. And as I say, KZN wasn't left behind because the road links provinces. So, Jay, again, written notifications, if you look at the 16,000, just under 17,000, the process was extensive. And out of those many figures that I would mention, only 49 appeals, but these were dismissed because we're not raising anything new. And of course, Chair, there was a legal challenge, and I don't want to go through the whole thing. Suffice it to say that the judge was, I don't want to say skating, but the judge made that, said that the judge has never seen such an extensive and participatory process in South Africa. And looking at it objectively, it could only be that no, it was too comprehensive. And as such, the matter was thrown out of court, Chair. Of course, they could appeal if they wanted to, but as we are here, they have never appealed because there was nothing new again to be put forward. And of course, there are structures on site, biodiversity offset agreements, committees, and as I said, on the environmental monitoring committee, crisis also attends. In the last meeting, they attended as well. So that part is extensive. So, Chair, I'm just going to talk about what they were sort of talking about, giving us, to say that consider this one. As I say, from here, Chair, this blue line up towards Bulala is probably one of the worst areas that I've seen in the Eastern Cape. Each household, direct access onto the R61. And when it's about in early hours and when the schools come out, and in the evening, it's a disaster. The road is flooded with people and of course, motors and taxis in between. This area is the worst part that you can think of, whereby if the road was to come down here, it means that over 500 people must be relocated compared to this area here where we're saying that from Skidi towards the Wild Coast, we'll hardly have 50 or so people. And if you look at it, that is, as we indicated earlier, and from an environmental point of view, this road is actually less sensitive than the one that they are proposing. And of course, if you don't look at the thing as an ecosystem, people, animals, and whatever together, this one really becomes worse. And if you can see, we've got Mtentu, there's something that looks like that. We've got these things that we need to cross Mzamba and Tlakwa if you go up there and cross the road. So on the environmental considerations and cost, and if you look at the elevation here, all the factors point out that this is the road and that is the road, and that was approved. And these roads, inland roads, were all that is considered during that is the application for the ROD. And this one is the most feasible road that is there to construct these roads that we are talking about. So then, Chair, without going too far, I would just say, of course, they make a point that no, it's in certain areas, if you go towards Lusikisiki or maybe Port St. John's, the speeds are not that high, but they miss the point that the road is not going into Lusikisiki and into Port St. John's, for instance. As you get to what Kagube, the road takes a new alignment because you cannot have that is the speeds that we need for a mobility road. That is if you go towards that is Port Edward. So then they are talking about the 60 Ks we can do. There's no hurry in South Africa. If the cars, this can travel at 60 Ks and that, but that is not the road that we are looking for. And the grades, if a grade is over 5%, you would say that it is about steep. And now these are close to 9%. So trucks will literally be crawling that is on that road. The benefits that we wanted out of the road, we may not achieve. And as such, this 80 kilometers or 60, it is not for this kind of road. I'm not going to bother you with all that. And again, as I said, this one, if you look at this red line there and this dotted one, those areas are actually, those blue are sensitive areas. And as I indicated that ECPTA has got a specific, because some of the other wetlands are actually no longer there because of activities of people. And the task is to that 375 million rand for ECPTA to revitalize and resuscitate some of these wetlands, just as with the rangelands. Chair, then going towards an end from safety and travel, and the road is not, that is a viable option. And linked with that, as I indicated, that the record of decision by the Environmental Affairs was given because factors were taken into account and decisions were made based on the facts that were there in terms of the sensitivity of these roads, that is to environmental changes. So without saying much here, as I said, we as SANRAL, we have invited AECC and we still invite them. Let's sit and work on environmental matters. We are there to make sure that the protected areas are increased. As I indicated earlier, in terms of the record of decision, 15,000 hectares must be sort of be protected areas. As I speak now, we are on 25,000 hectares, and people want to give us more, including crisis. So I'm saying then, Chair, the road that we are having is the road that was, the court has pronounced on it, the Department of Environmental Affairs. And as I said, that we've got a structure with environmental folks all over the place. That is, we've got Environmental Monitoring Committee, it sits quarterly, ACC sits there. We've got authorities, coordination committees, environmental auditors, and our own project environmental audit, just to make sure that the environment is not degraded. Because we as SANRAL, we believe in the adage that says that development without conservation or protection is no development at all. And as such, that will go all the way to make sure that the environment is not degraded or deformed. I think that's it, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thanks very much for the response. I'm going to allow members, if they want to ask something, they ask. Ms Mbuthuma, Dr. Ansina, Malcolm Campbell. Who's Campbell? Malcolm is part of the petitioners.
Chair, I'm part of the petitioners. I just want to establish
No. Wait.
My status is.
Malcolm, wait. In terms of our process today, you are not speaking yourselves. Isn't it? We met you, you tabled your matter. It's for now to speak with the people you have petitioned about. And then from there, we'll discuss ourselves on what is the way forward.
Yeah, we just like to have an opportunity, if not in this meeting, to respond to what has been presented. So I just want to confirm that we will have such an opportunity. We feel it will
Okay.
help the portfolio committee in preparing their response to the speaker. Thank you, Chair.
No, sure. Sure. Honorable members, Ms. Onadun, followed by Dr. Nsenga, will be followed by Montana, then Maduna, then Makashule, and then Malmata will close in that order.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you, Honorable Chair, honorable members, and all the members in the team. Honorable Chair, it's very fortunate for us because the report, the comprehensive report that is being presented to us today is having some upgrades here and there because we've been there as the portfolio committee to do our own oversight. And above that, we are the residents of the area, that is particularly myself. Now, Chair, we are aware of the upgrades, the community participation, and the thousands of species that have been captured in the area for environmental maintenance and also the upgrades that are required on the area. Now, I just have only two questions because there was a court judgment around this road construction. Now, can Mr. Peterson and the office, SANRAL office, please provide with any evidence that exists or clarification on why there was no application for leave to appeal made to SCA in June 2019 when the process of appeal was granted. The second question, Chair, since the courts found adequacy of environmental and planning process, do we have power as the portfolio committee to do something or against that decision? Was there no comprehensive environmental impact assessment which was undertaken for the approval of the coastal alignment? If I can get responses to that, Chair, then I may make a follow-up then. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In that order, the doctor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Our public participation process and the engagement, particularly when appeals start to become part of the process, is certainly something that we have learned a lot from. And I'm really encouraged with the process. Yes, definitely it's a setback in terms of planning, but really the tolerance which SANRAL has displayed in this matter is really credible, and I appreciate that. Chairperson, one particular element which seems to be a general problem along highways in construction is the get-on, get-off areas, because it is unavoidable that once there is a highway, that people would want to engage with the ability and the benefit of mobility. And therefore, why don't we see taxi get-off, get-on exits along highways? I really think it is a shortfall in our planning, and that we should actively plan for this instead of having to deal with high casualties because people stand at the most convenient spots where there's no facility. And I would rather encourage SANRAL to recognize this and accommodate particular facilities for getting on and getting off of vehicles. Also early in the morning when people need to be picked up, and late in the afternoon when they get dropped after work. That's my only remark. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Honsinger. I did not capture the last part. You were saying what do you recommend, Masepe?
Chairperson, that was my only recommendation, just getting on, getting off terrain that needs to be made part of the construction planning.
Okay. Bishop Sharp, thanks very much. Who's next? Honorable Maduna. Maduna? Honorable Montana.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks very much, Chair. Let me, I'm disappointed, Chair. I think I'm disappointed with the approach that SANRAL has adopted. Basically, we have a petition. A petition comes from the community, and you can't prepare you're basically saying to us, we've done everything right. There's nothing more to be done. That's not how the development process works. In fact, the development process that seeks to achieve sustainability, it has got to and fro's. Yes, there are certain things, you build bridges and other things, but the alignment will continue. The very sustainability and commercial viability of these roads are themselves not absolute. I asked a question to the Minister of Transport, and she shared some very interesting stats with me on the road. For example, 536 new vehicle trips per day are generated on the road between East London and Port Shepstone. 284 vehicle trips per day are generated between Port Shepstone and Durban. 870 vehicles trips per day are attracted from the existing N2 between Tata and Port Shepstone to the new route via Lusikisiki. 674 vehicles trips per day are attracted from the existing R61 via Bizana to the new route. Now, when I look at these numbers, when you look at the commercial side, in fact, it raises big question whether, in the first place, I think that there's a need for the road to be built. Whether the road should be tolled or in total or at certain parts, I think is a big question that will even arise. Why I'm raising this, Chair, I think that the first time when we visited the project site, particularly the bridges and some of the road packages that were there, I raised important issues that if we want to unlock development in that particular region, of course, that you also need to consider alternative procurement methods. You have to adjust. When you give us formalities, formal responses that, for example, we work in many projects where a community liaison officer, for example, will manipulate things. I'm not saying this is the case. So you go beyond the formalities that are there. When you know that the community, what they are proposing, you shouldn't say, come and try to rubbish it before us. You need to say, for us, we think it could work better this way with our plans and with what is being proposed. We think here, for example, we can concede. Because it's a development project. And it's not about maybe this road will exist and the bridges and the infrastructure for another 500 years. Many of us would be gone. The world wouldn't even know that we even existed. So I sense from the presentation of Mr. Peterson, with due respect, a sense of, we are SANRAL. We've decided on this thing. And we think that we've consulted. Yes, the courts may have decided on certain things. But the development process allows you to take an open mind, to also be willing to bend backwards, to accommodate and say, oh, we never thought about this thing. But this academic debate, like we're at the school, where someone says this, and then you respond like you are playing a tennis game. I don't think it's going to help us. The people who presented also on the Amadiba Action Committee, it included professionals. And I don't think that some of the things, they raise important issues. And I thought SANRAL would have gone and looked at it. So this thing is not about whether the project goes ahead or not. Of course, there's a way in which Parliament has got its authority, which is it will decide politically whether, for example, it support the budget for SANRAL to continue in that way or not. But I don't think that's a discussion now. But I think, Chair, when we have a petition from the community, we don't want agencies. Last week we went to Davidton. We don't want people to say, we've decided it's going to be done this way, and that the presentation is about affirming that, instead of saying, let's hope. We from where I come from, I start always from the side of the community. And I always say, even when the community is wrong, it's not wrong, because it allows you to be open in the way in which you deal with the concerns in a very constructive way, in a way that is informative, is educative and everything. But we know that these formal consultations, manipulation of, for example, community liaison officers, where people load liaison committees with their preferred people and say, this is consultation. I'm not saying this is what has happened. But I'm asking, you need to look at the development process slightly different and be accommodative, and don't put things as absolute, because there may be absolutes in terms of the massive bridge structures that we saw with our own eyes. And from the presentations that that we received from the community, there was no one who saying demolish these bridges. But they're saying a road, particularly some of those packages, really the space to play with. Finally, when we look at this unlocking socio-economic development, I don't think, looking at it from where I sit, looking at what SANRAL is doing, is investing a lot of infrastructure, which is great, and I think that that's what we need in that particular region. But whether it will unlock real, meaningful socio-economic development for the long-term benefit of that community, the jury is still out on that. But SANRAL can lay the foundation for sustainable long-term development by being willing. And I know that there are commercial contracts that have been signed and all of those things. But in some instances, you should be willing to be able to do that. That's how a development process works. So from where I see, Chair, as a member of Parliament, having received a petition from the community, I think that SANRAL's approach should have demonstrated to us that, look, we may not agree with certain things, but we've for example, ask our team, go back and look at this aspect, go back and look at that, and say, here we don't think that there's any scope for changing, but here we think we could accommodate not in the way that has been proposed, but we think that there are other ways in which you can either mitigate or address some of those things. That is a development process. But I see an entity that comes with a high level, and not this is not personal to Mr. Peterson, and we know that we've always been consistent in our support for SANRAL, but it can't be an arrogant approach. We serve the masses of our people, and I think that when we look in that region, I said when we were there that if there's one region in the country which has suffered tremendously because of the migrant labor system, that is one region. So the SANRAL development can be a catalyst for major change and changing the lives of people and reversing that history. But we can't do it if we are so aloof. We look down at some of the people who are unhappy. Let's have the patience to listen to them. And let's have the patience to, where possible, to accommodate without only moving on the face that, no, we want it in court. We had this extensive consultation. The judge was damning. You're going to pay a price at a later stage. And when I look at it, and this is my final sentence, Chair, when I look at the numbers provided to me by the Minister of Transport, I think the jury is out there. I think that we need the road. We need this development. Whether we should toll it, I think that actually it raises quite a lot of questions. So SANRAL will be forced to make decisions as we move. And I don't like. I'm not one person who support a process where people are really aloof. Please, let's calm down. Let's connect with people. And SANRAL should not tire us from speaking to the Amadiba Action Community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Madu.
No, thanks, Chair. Good morning to you, Chair, colleagues. No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think I only have 2 questions. But I would like to start by saying that I think, Chair, what I observe and what I think perhaps would have complicated matters in this case is that the matter already has a court verdict on it, and it makes the intervention of the committee to be very minimal. So I think it would be unfair.
Maduna.
Yes, Chair.
There's a lot of noise. I don't know is it where you are, or there is someone whose mic is on. But if it is you, you are in a very noisy place. There is a noise at the back, something like that.
Let me just try and fix my connection.
Yeah, you're audible now. You can go on.
Yes, Chair. I was saying that, Chair, the problem with this is that it has been through the court of law and there's a decision on it. It would have been better that this process started before that court process. I think I want to say that in line with what Honorable Montana is saying, because I believe that it would be unfair to say the people of SANRAL in their consultation process as declared by court that it would have been adequate as the court really expressed the confidence in it. I wanted to start there. Secondly, Chair, as I said, I just have 2 questions that I wanted to check. One, are there sufficient basis for consideration of midterm evaluation of the project by the Department of Transport, SANRAL, and Public Works, also Treasury? Secondly, I wanted to check to SANRAL, would they say that they are sustainable and development which has an evidence of inclusivity for the people through this particular project? Those are just the 2 main questions that I have, but it's really important that we know that indeed it appears to us that SANRAL did do, I think this is in line also with the court order, did do the consultation. Thank you.
Thanks very much. On that note, thanks very much. Honorable Ghana. Come in, my honorable brother.
Thanks very much, Chair, and good morning to you, SANRAL and the Amadiba committee that joined on the call. So thanks, Chair. So a couple of points. I think, and going through the documents of SANRAL and also taking into account the presentation that we received last time, this has been ongoing for some time. So it's not the new matter, and we do need to. We might then need, let's call it, I know that the way that you had wanted to have the conversation was that today we've got SANRAL, and then we have heard from the crisis committee the last time. Then I think we will need to then put the 2 together. We need to synthesize the 2. We need a session where the 2 are synthesized. More so, and it's that to the point that Maduna raises. is that the court has already adjudicated on this particular matter, insofar as the consultations are, and so forth. My kind of interest, it's and when I look at the SANRAL presentation, it's not it's not a recent, it's not as recent a document. Like, it's not something that says since, say, around about 2019, 2020, this is what we have observed. So it's not a current, at least that's my reading. My reading of the SANRAL document is not current. It might very well have been that for those that were part of the portfolio committee before the 7th Parliament, and Honorable Hansinger might very well come in to, if my reading of the document is incorrect. But my reading is that this particular document would have been, or this update would have been presented even in the 6th Parliament. So it's not my reading is that it's not recent. And then we say, all right, how do we then find the middle ground? If it has gone to the court and the court has ruled in the way that it has, to say if we can, the next session, so that, because the petitioners have made a petition, SANRAL has responded, then they will have to respond to that. So that our thing must be to try to find the middle ground. What is that middle ground? And in an instance where the middle ground is not sought, is not achieved, and where you live in a democratic a country like we do, constitutional democracy, and then you might then say, all right, the final arbiter on these matters might very well be the courts. I say this, Chair, because even now that with the benefit of both sides, both the presentation we received last time and now the response from SANRAL, I think it's incumbent on us as the new committee to then look at this and say, all right, is there a middle ground that can be achieved? But before we get to that point, I think there has to be, let's call it a recent state of play, whether it's the issue of the illegal sand mining, the settlements that could have been that have developed since this process is started, and also to check where has everything not started, or the work insofar as this entire project, at least as the last part from my side, Chair, is the entirety of the project on hold, or there are parts that have already been developed? And if there are parts that have been developed, what is the impact in terms of whether it's the alternate road or the envisaged road that will have gone to the courts, just to get an understanding? And I think maybe for the crisis committee, when they come back, I think we need a different session, Chair. We need a different session for the two to be in the same room, where there's a almost a response, is to understand insofar as the court processes. Because if I read what SANRAL says around the appeal being granted but not followed up in the Supreme Court of Appeal, what is the legal maneuver out of this situation? So I'll pause there, Chair. But I think this deserves another full session, a much longer, I think, wherein we try to find one another, because there's both sides are making some valid arguments, and we need to find the middle ground. But I would like to check with those that were here in the previous term whether my reading of this update as having been presented in the last term is correct, or maybe Valerie or the people that were around in the last term can confirm whether that is true or not. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Honorable Ghana, and thanks very much for the progressive input in terms of what you suggest should happen. Who's remaining is Honorable Malmacha. Honorable Malmacha?
No, thank you very much, Chair. Let me take this opportunity and follow suit, greet you, the Chair, SANRAL, petitioners, South Africans, honorable members. Chair, the mistake that we must not do is to confuse the public. We are lawmakers. It can be correct that as being lawmakers, at some certain stage, we find ourselves wanting. Part of us is to ensure that we enforce decisions of court to be implemented with no favor. In this matter, it's quite clear, and even the judgment was partially read here, and how comprehensive was everything that was detailed before court, and that includes consultations and the entire running of the development process, which in my understanding, development processes are guided by the project management principles. One will quote start and ending. Imagine a situation where everybody who went to court lost their, come back to the PC, Portfolio Committee of the Parliament, and we behave as if we are an appeal committee. If not, try to become another court that can rule over another matter. We will end up really losing focus of what we're supposed to do. In this case, Honorable Chair and the members, the matter is very clear. It was ruled, and the other aspect that honorable members are mentioning, the issue of inclusivity. There's no project that can run without having to meet with the people on the ground. I think those that are still there through their own public representatives, they can be easily accommodated. But what I foresee here is like, we are very lazy to continue doing our work. We want to drag in close, I will say, I want to propose, Chair, that the matter has been ruled. We have a judgment. If there's anything, let it follow suit. The very same, go and make an appeal, so that at the end of the day, we know that we're not taking the matter out of the roll on our own as a PC. Therefore, we shall be doing justice to those that were taken to court, because they went there and present every evidence to convince the judge that indeed we have done 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, I don't see any other reason why we should attempt to overthrow the judgment. And thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Honorable Malmacha. I'm going to request SANRAL to respond to some of the questions, and from there, I'll give a direction on what must happen. Thanks for that direction, Honorable Malmacha. The input that is also recommending what must happen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Chairperson of the committee. Before Bulelo comes in, I will want to just provide some overarching remarks. Having said that, maybe as matter of protocol, I want to see through you, Chair, if our chairperson of the board is able to talk now before I proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. Chair?
I am here, Honorable Chair.
The platform is yours. We have been looking for you earlier on. We couldn't get you, but you can now speak, and you have followed what was discussed. And I think the CE is right that maybe you can say something before. You have had the discussions.
Indeed, Honorable Chair, thank you very much to you and the honorable members. I must start off by apologizing. I had joined earlier during your first presentation by some other entity. So, and then I lost the connection. I do apologize, please. Yes, Honorable Chair, indeed, the CEO and our management will deal with these issues. From where we are sitting as the board, we just want to reassure this whole committee, and more specifically, Honorable Montana, that our approach is based on a principle that our minister articulated to us, and indeed that government wants to see followed, which is that we must always give everyone a hearing. And indeed, with regards to this particular matter, we have done this over the years. I can say personally, right from 2018 up until now, I, together with other board members, have been to that area of the world umpteenth times to connect with the people, to listen to them, and indeed let every stakeholder be able to articulate its position, and we hold discussions with them. And at no stage have we ever shown them any arrogance. The minister even set up what we call the Political Oversight Committee, which is chaired by the Premier of the Eastern Cape, but he delegates that authority to his MEC for transport. And that structure invites virtually everyone to every meeting. And indeed, we account there. We give reasons for any and everything we do. We listen to what the people have to say, and we commit to addressing that which is addressable. It's important, Honorable Chair and members, for us to also state that in this whole approach, we ensure that we are in touch with the traditional authorities, we are in touch with our local authorities, the business community, virtually every single stakeholder in this. And these are ongoing consultations. At no stage have we ever closed the door on anyone, including the Amadiba Crisis Committee itself. Our officials have had engagements with them under the leadership of our government, the mayors, councillors there, traditional leaders, and so on. So we do want to just give that assurance from where we are sitting as the board, that we would never allow a situation where SANRAL becomes arrogant to the people who are served by the government that has entrusted SANRAL with the responsibilities and the resources we have been given. I just thought I would give that assurance, please, Honorable Chair, before the CEO and his team come in. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that assurance, Chair. Very fulfilling, provided proper direction, proper leadership. Come in, CEO.
Thank you, Chairperson of the committee, of course, the Chair of the board, for his opening remarks. I would like to, of course, agree and echo the sentiments of the Chair. And also to just say, maybe it was unfortunate that it didn't come out clearly right at the end where we said we are open to engaging and looking at issues of development, environmental conservation, and how we can overall do local economic development in those areas that are concerned. So we are open for those types of engagements. Maybe, of course, what we wanted to also illustrate is that based on the work that has been done over the years during the consultation and leading to the court cases and all of that, this is what we did, and this is what we have presented, and this is what we consistently engage stakeholders on. So yes, Honorable Ghana, you might say the slides are not recent. It is because of design that the consistency of what we have done remains the same. There is one aspect where, obviously for us, it is important to stress that the alternative route that has been looked at, I think it's a bit late in the day. It is not something that looks viable, having tested it and checked it against various parameters, whether it's social in terms of relocating the hundreds of families next to the road, whether it's environmentally in the way of wetlands and crossing big gorges that we have to cross, whether it's financial in terms of returns and investment of the capital required. However, overall, if that is something that really we can find each other on, that the route may not be something that is viable to change. However, all other aspects on how we can work for the common development of the area, local economy, environment, and other things remain open. We have set aside, as Mr. Peterson said, some 300, I think he said 75 million, for purposes of development in that, not towards the roads, but appreciating that the Amadiba area is a sensitive area, and we think that there's a lot we can do jointly there. So we remain open for those types of discussions. I would like to thank you for that, Chairperson, and I do think that we can engage. Maybe just lastly, before I hand over to you, there was a question around how do we approach issues of getting on and off the highways, which really is about public transport integration. Indeed, it is something we are really taking very seriously and working on. Some of you who follow us will remember that we were at Ndabakazi in the Eastern Cape just last week, launching the Ndabakazi intermodal interchange. And we call it intermodal because it combines elements of course, the road. We have then put a taxi rank just on the interchange on the off-ramp, together with informal trading stalls, very beautiful investment in all of that. Next to that, there's going to be a big mall in that area. We have developed our road to get to the mall so that we give them easy access into the highway. So in other words, what I'm saying is a lot of our developments, especially around interchanges, are now incorporating easy getting on and off for public transport. And you will see more of those going forward. In Khayelitsha there on the N2 in the Western Cape, we are working on a project which, for the first time, it is going to integrate right on the N2 in the road reserve. It's going to have at the getting on and off. So your stops with pedestrian bridges connected to that. So a bus, a taxi doesn't have to off-ramp and go anywhere. They just really stop on the road reserve there, offload people, get people on, people cross the highway using pedestrian bridges to go on either side. So that's again something we look forward to, because we realize it's important to really start integrating public transport into the high mobility freeways. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, colleagues. And thanks for the proper responses and most importantly, the progressive commitment from yourself, Chief Executive Officer, and from your chair, Mr. Mohammed, and also the progressive inputs and guidance by members of the committee. Look, two things that are very important. You see, colleagues will remember what I always stress when we are dealing with the island view on the joint committee with the TIC. I always emphasize the point that it is important for members of the public to ventilate the matters with Parliament before even going to court, because once you go to court, you then strain ourselves or you strain other intervention, because in court, a matter can go on technicality and you are out. And unfortunately, when you come to Parliament, we can always find a way of mutual coexistence. How do we make things work? Now, in this scenario, we have two situations. We have matters that the court has obviously ruled on. But what gives me comfort, and on those particular matters, there's nothing we can do. We can't then say reverse the court order. We can't then say, as Honorable Malamacha was saying, you can't then say we start a new process as if we are doing an inverse of what the court would have ordered. It's unfortunate that the matter wasn't ventilated in court before it was ventilated here, because perhaps maybe it would have been handled differently. But now, be that as it may, the commitment by the chair and the recommendation by the honorable members who came in, I think Ghana, Honorable Ghana, Honorable Montana, but most importantly, Honorable Maduna, and also Honorable Malamacha, is that what we must then do, of course, given also the commitment by the CE and the chair, is that as much as we can reverse the court order, we need now to encourage engagements. And I'm going to request that we request SANRAL and the parties to meet and give them maybe a space of 3 weeks to try and iron out areas where they are talking past each other. Because I think on certain areas, there are things that as you commit, that developmental issues that you can actually find each other on, which are not actually ruled on by the court. So we'll encourage that and then give you a period of 3 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, you'll give us a feedback of whether that meeting would have taken place and what are the areas that you are finding each other on. And then we'll then come and table the matter here. We'll get that report. We'll, together with the team, administrative support team, will then determine on what mechanism must we then come and brief us, and then we close the petition. I think that's the best way to deal with the matter, so that we do not necessarily suppress the community, especially that there's a willing in your part to still look into certain areas and engage with them. So to this extent, much appreciation to the committee and much appreciation to SANRAL. We can't blame SANRAL for having went to court and defend itself. I think that's important that we must emphasize that, because it's not yourself who took yourself to court, but also to encourage communities that continue to use Parliament as your eye and ear, because this is the Parliament of the people. These portfolios, and it's not just on this matter, just as you move forward as committee members, please also let's continue, even ourselves as individual members of the Parliament, let's encourage members of the committee on matters that can be ventilated and mediation sought through Parliament. Let's encourage Parliament to be used as that particular platform that matters being ventilated into court, because when matters go to court, it's a totally different story. So with this, I'm closing this aspect with the appreciation for the petitioners for having came to us, but also with SANRAL for having made the commitment that they are willing for engagement, and then give you guys 3 weeks recorded from today, and in a space of 3 weeks, give a joint report of your engagement to our team, and then we'll then determine ourselves what must happen from there so that we close the petition once and for all. Thanks very much. I think you can release everyone, and then we remain now as members of the committee. Thanks, petitioners. Thanks, SANRAL department. I'm not sure whether the department is still remaining. So
yes,
that
we are here.
delay.
We are here, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay. We must not delay colleagues, especially SANRAL and especially petitioners, who must now go to work so that they and do the other business. We shouldn't bother them with the details of the other items that we're going to deal with. Of course, they are also brief. But Chair SANRAL and your team, thanks very much. You are officially released from the platform. Petitioners Malcolm and the team, thanks very much. We'll be hearing from you soon. This particular resolution that I've made, You'll get a formal update about this decision from my team. And then from there, in 3 weeks space, we'll then be able to be finished with the report of your engagement, and then we'll come and make a final determination on the matter. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Back to the agenda, Alma.
Sorry, Chair, I don't have the notice with me before me, but the next item is the minutes of the 21st of October, which I am screen sharing at the moment. So members will see it was the feedback on the Davidton petition from PRASA, the briefing on the Transport Economic Council, and then also the current status of the PTNG. Those are the members who were present. The introduction, feedback from PRASA on the Davidton petition, the Transport Economic Council presentation, and the PTNG. We adopted those sets of minutes and adjourned at 12:12, Chair. So that's the minutes of the 21st for consideration and adoption by members.
There you are. I consider the minutes as read. Any comment on the minutes? Comment 1, comment 2. Doctor?
Thank you, Chairperson. I propose that we accept these minutes, adopt them as a true reflection of what transpired on the 21st of October. I so move.
Thanks, my good doctor. Thanks, my good doctor, Honorable Honsinger. This mover there, can I get a seconder? Honorable Malmaja?
No, thank you so much, Chair. I stand to support the move by Doctor.
Thanks. The set of minutes are adopted. Thanks very much. I'll mind the team. Thanks very much. Next item.
You've reminded us to give an administrative update on the processing of the appointments for the ASIB interview of candidates, Chair. Advocate Nell will proceed with that.
Yeah, Advocate Nell, be submissive on this update.
Yes, Chair and members, just to indicate, one of the candidates withdrew out of the 10 that were shortlisted. So we'll only have 9 shortlisted candidates from which we need to pick 7. We are still, we've sent the request through to HR and the protection services for the qualification checks and the criminal screening. Valerie has received the fingerprints of the candidates, and she has delivered that. So this is just this process that we're going through. So that's this pre-screening that will be done. Then also the redacted CVs are being published on Parliament's website for comments and input. And then those inputs will be summarized before the determined interviews. We did propose the interview dates for the 21st and the 22nd of November, Chair. However, HR has indicated that the qualification checks, even if they just focus on matric and the tertiary qualifications, quite a few of our candidates have international qualifications, and as can be expected when it comes to an aviation requirement. So those things take quite a while. Per the latest email, they've indicated 8 weeks. So, Chair, we might hit a snag in terms of that qualification check and our proposed interview dates, because our proposed interview dates is in about 2.5 weeks from today, and that might not be enough time to get all those qualification and background checks in time. So, Chair, that's just one aspect I really wanted to point out to members. We do have time to finalize this. Obviously, we'd like to finish the ASA board matters as soon as possible, but considering the type of work that they would need to do along with the investigators and the consideration of the reports, we really do need people that have been thoroughly background checked. And be sure that the people we are recommending have all the required qualifications. It's a very intricate specialty that they would be working with, and members would see that when we have time to discuss the proposed interview questions, which I have drafted. Chair, then just on that, yes, we may need to change the dates given the constraints that HR has indicated. They've also indicated that our team will have to do the reference checks ourselves and board memberships, as well as checks on directorships. There's quite a few of these applicants that are directors in companies, and those companies directly operate within the aviation industry. And as I indicated in Manco, that could be a conflict of interest concern there. We also need that feedback from Minister's side, because she can allow or give permission for board members to serve with a conflict of interest. Obviously, if their companies are implicated within the incident, they would have to recuse themselves from considering that matter. But yeah, those are now new factors that we also need to factor in for the consideration. The one that we do have a time frame or time limit on, Chair, is the TEC, but I will focus on ASIP for now. So this is just the outline of the process, and members will have seen that there were some concerns on some of the candidates in the prep notes that we sent to them. Just to prepare our proposal, I know this one says 60 minutes, but the proposal for the interview should be 90 minutes per person that we are interviewing. So that's why we need the 2 days. Chair, that's just the update on ASIP for consideration. And then I would propose as well, while we are waiting for the background checks to be finalized, and given the sensitivity of the interview sheet and the questions, we would not want unfair advantages to go out to the applicant. So we would need to have a closed session with the members that will be serving as the interview panel to sit and finalize the questions and also determine which member will be asking which question. In that manner, we have the same questions for all of our candidates, so that our scoring can work in an equal fashion for each candidate. We don't have different questions for each candidate. This will be predetermined questions with a guide for the replies and how to score those replies. So, Chair, that is just the feedback from our side on ASIP.
Okay. Thanks very much. I think members, I felt that it's important that you get this update. We met with the team just to streamline things so that they update everyone. You know where we are. From here, we should be ready for interviews now. Unless there is a honorable, this is straightforward, unless there is someone who wants to ask you a question, but I guess it's very straightforward. Thanks, Dr. Nsinga, for affirmation. Further affirmation? Okay. Thanks very much. Then if that is the case, I'm going to now move that we close the meeting because we have ventilated everything, unless there is something I'm leaving behind. Valerie, is there anything that's outstanding? Yeah, who's that?
No, Chair, but I will discuss.
Oh, Honorable Ghana, you want to say something?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to be sure in terms of the resolution or what Alma was proposing. Are you saying, Alma, that you are waiting for the background checks, and once the background checks are confirmed, then we will confirm the dates of the interviews, the 2 days of the interview, or you're asking us to, accept the dates of the 21st and 22nd as the day that we'll do the interviews. But then if something happens, we can always move the dates out, just so that we are clear in terms of what we are asked to, or the direction of travel. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, so we have set those. Thanks for that, Honorable Makashul. We have set these 2 days tacitly for these interviews, but of course, the process is dependent on the other process of screening. Alma, right?
Yes, Chair, the committee determines the process, so we're just outlining the challenges. It will be up to the committee if they want to do the interviews before we get the screening results, but we only do the report after we get the screening results. We can do that. But if the screening results changes the scoring, we'll have to do another session and reconsider the scoring, Chair. That's just the bit of a clash. If you do it the other way around, for example, if you do the interviews before you have all the feedback on the background checks, Chair.
I think we must stick to doing the screening first and then come and finalize, because honorable members their time is very hectic. You see, they are moving from one meeting to another. You don't want them to have a meeting, interview, and then you come back and say we must have another meeting on the same aspect. Unless you persuade me otherwise, but my view is that if the screening results comes before the 21st, we'll have the interviews on those dates. If they don't come, we'll have to shift the date and allocate another day. Because I know you, I know honorable members, and I always feel sorry for members because I'm literally straining you. Honorable Ghana, is that a legacy and or a new one? Honorable Onsinger?
So my take, Chair, will be because we will not insert any new candidate. So that the shortlisted candidates are the shortlisted candidate unless there's a withdrawal, and we cannot disqualify even from the screening. I would say that we agree on the days of the 21st and 22nd, and if we get the screening results, whatever points that we'll allocate for the screenings, we will then allocate them as we get the screening result, just so that we complete this thing on this side of the year. And if there's anything that we need to do early on in the year, in case we don't get the results this year, then it's the small thing. I propose that we proceed with the interviews, because we do not have the powers to disqualify any of the applicants at this stage, unless they withdraw themselves. So let's proceed on the 21st and 22nd. After that, there will only be 2 weeks left of the parliament. We're finishing on the 5th of December. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for the input. Honorable Hunsinger?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, my view might slightly differ from this in that screening in terms of interview process is a pre-phase filtering process, in my view, before interviews. So the full screening must be concluded before interviews start. And it is a prerequisite to be allowed for interviews. So it might be possible to proceed with interviews for the candidates whose screening has been completed. So we can either do it in an interphased manner. So as soon as we've received the full completed screening of individuals, because it's an individual application process, we can proceed with those interviews. But for those applicants whose screening takes longer, it might be that their interviews would only happen far later than the earlier ones. So then it is a more complicated and complex process to manage, where communication would be really important for those members that have completed their screening and interviews fairly early in the process. So that's the scenario that we have to deal with. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Honorable Malmata, the two members are not far from each other. Can you just reconcile them and then we rule? Just reconcile the two views and then we close here.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, they're not far from each other. I want to lobby Honorable Ghana that he allows the process in terms of recruitment and selections. The screening is very critical, and to avoid us being taken to court here and that, and even to have some doubt on what we shall have started very well, and just somewhere just allow something to dribble past us. I will want to lobby him that he agrees that we allow screening to take place in support of what Maine Chris is saying, that we rather do it in phases, trying to accommodate those, because it can jeopardize the good work if we will want to allow such to come in. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. And thanks for that intervention. I think because the desire is one from all of us, as Honorable Ghana is saying, that at least we must have done something this year. So I will request that we do in the manner that Honorable Dan Onsinger proposes. If we get partial result of screening, let's fill those ones and we deal with the screening. Await others. If they are all done by the 21st, we have full-blown interviews, we are done. If they are not, as Honorable Ghana is requesting, and Honorable Onsinger is also saying, so that we are seen to have done something on this matter this year, we then do like that. So I think let's agree that way. I always prefer to have consensus on matters like this. I hope we are all on the same page. It's well reconciled. Honorable Ghana?
Okay.
Sorted.
I'm happy with that. As long as if we can get 5, 6, those screenings, let's do the interviews. Let's do something. Let's show that we are doing something and not wait for everything to come back. Thanks.
Thanks very much. I think we have consensus now. There is no one who's having difficulty. And thanks, Honorable Malmata, for reconciling the views. I think we are done with the meeting, colleagues. I wouldn't want to keep you. I always want to give you extra 30 minutes out of our meetings. At least today, I'm giving you an extra hour. Thanks very much.
Chair. Long live the Chair.
Thanks very much, Margarela. Thanks very much, honorable members. The meeting is officially closed. You can go to other assignments.